Hi, this is David Whorton. Welcome to the Evergreen Experience 2020. The goal of this new offering is to provide real-time insights into Evergreen leaders' experiences and innovations in this period of crisis, uncertainty, and rapid change. Today, I'm joined by Scott Evans, CEO of Kenmore Envelope Company, and Val Hollingsworth, President and CEO of Hollingsworth and Vose. Scott and Val both lead manufacturing companies in two different industries and will speak to the impact of the COVID-19 crisis on their businesses and the innovations and adaptations they have tried, and their view on the future of their own industries, and in the way in which Evergreen principles are informing their approach to and their perspective on this challenging time. With that, let's get started. Hey, Scott.
Hey, how you doing, Dave?
Doing good, thanks. Hey, Val.
Hi, Dave.
Welcome,
Hi, Val.
both of you.
Thanks
for joining. Thanks for joining this morning. Hey, Scott, I like your t-shirt. That's a good
Thank
brand.
you. Yeah. And this is normal get up for me on a Friday, so this is not staged or anything.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again. We'll spend 25, 30 minutes kind of having a discussion between the three of us, and then we'll shift to the second half of the discussion, which will be a more intimate private Q&A with the members. So, Scott, I'll ask you first. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
My name is Scott. I'm the CEO of Kenmore Envelope Company. We are a high-end direct mail envelope producer for the direct mail industry. So we go after basically more of the high-end side of direct mail for Fortune 500 companies, along with marketing agencies, printers, and letter shops throughout the country. I'm third generation family business, and I've been here for 15 years. And yeah, that's our niche in the market.
And what was the state of your business, Scott, kind of going into the COVID shutdown?
We're in a really healthy state. We maxed out our highest number of employees. So we have 155 people run 24/7. We just came off of 2019 with 15% growth. We also had a 4% uptick in profit. So literally it was our best year ever. And it's been a consistent growth every year over the last 10 years. We've been always targeting 10 to 15% growth. And we were in a real healthy position. First quarter of this year, we installed 2 brand new machines, a new Conan & Bauer press and a new folder for our envelope division. And we were planning on 2020 being another 10 to 15% growth. And for those investments for us were big investments. We're talking $6 million between those just 2 machines that hit in January. So things were wonderful and great. So.
All right, well, we'll take a pause there and come back. Val, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business also, and then kind of what the state of things were before the shutdown.
Well, Hollingsworth and Vose is a very old company. Roots go back to colonial times. We used to make, or the predecessor company made printing paper for Ben Franklin and Paul Revere, and over many years it stayed in the family. Big focus on technology, big focus on reinvestment. And today we're really not a paper company, we're a specialty materials company, and we focus on the filtration industry and on battery separator materials, which are essentially a filter media inside of a battery. And we now have 13 plants in 6 countries, and we're one of the leading filter media companies globally.
Well, that's great. And so how were things? Were things going pretty well before the surprise of
Well,
COVID?
like Scott, we were doing pretty well. We had a very good first quarter. Trends looked good. We thought this was going to be a really strong year. And then we have a plant in China. We started to see things heading south there, during the first quarter.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Kind of, Val, what happened? And it sounds like you did have a kind of an early insight into this because of your China facility, and interesting enough, your China facility makes some pretty important products for this crisis too. So talk a little bit about that, and then the overall impact on the rest of the organization too.
So we have a plant in Suzhou, China, which is just west of Shanghai, and about 300 people. And that plant is one of the major producers of filtration materials in China. And we started getting word in early January of the problems with the pandemic. A lot of conversation about whether this was going to be transmitted human to human. we were all going to be there. I was going to be there February 3rd for the annual Chinese New Year celebration, which we've always done. And of course, that was canceled. And then when the holiday started, everybody stayed home for an extended period of time. Then the plant started up again on February 12th with really strict protocols for hygiene, face masks for everyone, thermometers, everything that you've been hearing about. And based on that, they've done very well. None of our people there have gotten sick, but it gave us kind of an early view on what was happening.
And then how about the rest of the kind of, I guess it's 13 plants you have total, right? So
Yeah.
how did this impact all the rest of the plants?
Well, some good news, some bad news. So we're the largest producer of filter media for N95 masks outside of China. So of course that business has been going crazy. And other high-end filtration materials, we're the biggest producer of filter media for ventilator filters. So that's going crazy. But we're also, we have a major battery separator business and an engine filtration business. So those two have suffered with the downturn, like many companies in the general economy. And so our focus has really been on trying to do all that we can to increase production of the face mask materials. We've tripled production there, and similarly with ventilator and other medical filtration.
Great. Well, let's come back to that, Val, in just a minute. I'd like to talk about some of the ways you've adapted, and you've got some very interesting stories about what the team's done. But kind of back to you, Scott. So you bought some new equipment. You spent about $6 million. You're pretty bullish on the year, and bam. Okay, what happened, and how fast, and what was the impact?
Yeah, it happened quick. I like to say we're in week 10. So for us, it was the week ending March 14th was the first week we saw an impact. And since then, it's been about 25 to 30% down our normal volume. The mailing industry for direct mail is off about 49%. So we feel like we're holding our own. It happened quickly, but this first couple of weeks was really focused on just health and safety. Like, how are we going to operate? And then also there's a time where, are we going to operate? We didn't know, like, hey, are we going to be essential? We felt like our ties to the Postal Service and the government would help us be essential, and that happened. So early on, there was a couple of check boxes that we needed to know, like, hey, where are we going? So those happened, and we were deemed essential, and
you were deemed, I'm sorry to interrupt, Scott. You're deemed essential because you have a lot of nonprofit clients, right?
The entire envelope industry was deemed essential just for the support of the Postal Service, right? Oh. So we're all integral in making sure mail volume gets to everybody across the states. And so there's a lot of people that still, that's their main way of communicating. Not everybody has internet access. So that helped us be deemed essential. But we knew that the volume would come down. The for-profits definitely slowed down and canceled mailings, delayed mailings, put things off. So we saw our for-profit clients, telecoms, banks, auto, all slowed down big time. Our nonprofits did keep mailing, and they've been the most consistent through this time. So us having a balance of nonprofit clients and for-profit clients has helped. So yeah, it happened quick. It's happened fast. We've had some weeks like last week where we only saw an 8% decline in direct mail and incoming work, but on average, it's been in that 20 to 30% down. But we really focused on our people and our culture during that time. So that was like our big focus, and how we stay healthy, how we stay safe, how we take care of our people. So that was but it happened quick. And then that's where we pivoted and started focusing on our people.
Well, let's do that. Let's keep going then, Scott. Let's talk about kind of how you guys have adapted. You've gone in some, at least in particular, one very interesting new direction that you had no prior history in. And right. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'll get to that in a second. So we started with a couple of things. We made sure everybody was guaranteed 40 hours. During this time, we wanted none of our people to stress about their income. There was enough stress with the virus, with children being home, with everything changing. So we guaranteed all of our people 40 hours. We did a mental health day. And then 1 week in middle of March, I was trying to figure out, well, okay, we're going to be running less envelopes. We have our team. What else can we do? And I did see a few things. It wasn't like I invented it or anything. I saw some face shield activity out there. So I started thinking, like, well, maybe my equipment can do this. And I reached out to our poly supplier that supplies us all of our poly for our window film, and found out that he did make the material that we needed. And yeah, so we went for it. And we purchased some material, we tested it, made sure we could cut it on our PHPs, and then We started going after it and going after it big to try to help our frontline workers, and started a new division that we've never been into before. So
And how has that gone, Scott? How's that?
it's been wonderful. When we did it, we didn't want to do it at a small scale. We went large, and when I say large for us, we wanted to produce 300,000 plus face shields, and we're going to probably be in that 300 to 600,000 range when we're done. But I think the biggest thing that it really impacted our company was the impact it had on our people. To have a win, to have something positive happening, to do something good for our frontline heroes here in Virginia and throughout the country. To find out that in a 2-week period that we could pivot, get new suppliers, um, find the elastic we needed, the foam we needed, all the materials necessary to create a new product line, launch a website with e-commerce, and get the brand out there. And it really rallied. And then our current customer base on the direct mail side kind of saw what we were doing, and it has had an amazing influence on them of just, hey, we love what Kenmore's doing at this time. So it's really helped build our culture and our values of taking care of our people and doing the right thing.
That's great, Scott. Thank you. And it
Yeah.
sounds like this, what do you call the new division?
It's called Kenmore Cares.
Kenmore Cares. And this might be a more permanent part of your business going forward, right?
Yeah, so we don't know. So right now we're kind of looking at it as, could it be 12 months? Could it be longer? But we definitely are calling it a division, and it's a separate area in our production facility. And we're also looking at other things we can get into. Our supplier that makes our WG folding equipment also makes equipment that can make masks at 800 to 900 a minute. So they propose some stuff to us to look at. So we're kind of doing all the research we can right now to figure out what's going to happen, how will things pivot, and what is the future of the country looking like, and will the PPE be something that's necessary going forward, or is this a short phase? So we're analyzing all those things now.
That's great. Thanks, Scott. So Val, kind of back to you. 13 plants across the world, one of the largest producer of N95 mask material, one of the largest producer of filters that go into ventilators. I mean, your company, just by where you are in the market, is having a tremendously positive impact. But also, there's a lot more that you're doing. And I'll just kind of harken back to a conversation we had quite some time ago when I first met you. I was really fascinated by this company that's almost 300 years old. It's like, how do you do that? And one of the things I heard from you back then is that you have had a culture of innovation since the beginning of the firm. Your family has maintained that culture, including, you can tell us more about this. You have a pretty significant R&D staff, and you're always trying new products, new experiments. And so in some ways, your company well positioned because of what you are supplying already, but also you're doing some other pretty interesting things. So can I just turn it to you? And
Sure. Well, a lot of challenges, and of course, first off, just like Scott described, we realized we had to take care of our people. We had to keep these plants running. We were desperately afraid that what if we had a cluster of people who got sick making face mask materials, and we're making several hundred million every month, and so in January, when we saw this starting to happen in China, we started placing orders. Although we make the material, we don't make the masks. So we didn't have enough masks, and we wanted to get all our people wearing masks, just like our folks in China had started doing. So we found a company near our plant in Virginia and partnered with them. And so we've been having masks made for our company. So all our people have been wearing masks. We couldn't get enough hand sanitizer. Our R&D labs figured out how to make it. So we've been making hand sanitizer and been sending it home to our people as well and to their families. And so I think our people have felt fairly confident coming into work. And I like that phrase, frontline heroes, Scott, because I think a lot of people, have really stepped up. But at the same time, we, in February, we said to our teams, hey, look, we're a world-leading filter media company, and the crisis of our time is, in many cases, how do you use filtration to protect people? What can we do? And we've got over 50 PhDs working in product development. They, same story, Scott, they rallied like your folks did, and have come up with a whole lot of new products and a lot of work to just improve throughput on our existing equipment. So we've ramped up production on our core products. But we've also come out with several new products. So we now have gotten into the gown material business, and on machines that make engine filtration material, we're now making gown material and selling that in the US. We've also come up with a different type of N95 mask technology that doesn't use the production capacity that has been constrained. And so that now is starting to go, and we're selling that over the internet as well, just as a way to get as much material out there. And of course, the effect on our people has been really positive, and people, I think, rally and they appreciate us, trying to adjust and step up and do that.
And Val, specific to the thing you just said about selling on the internet, you're making materials that people can now purchase as individuals and then make into their own mask, right? Either
Yes.
for their own use, their company's use, or for resale if they chose, right?
Right. So this is the first time we've done it, maybe in 300 years, I don't know. But yeah, we partnered with the company who was set up to take our roll goods and cut them into small pieces that they're now selling on our behalf over the internet for people that want to make their own masks.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great. Thank you, Val. So, Scott, how are you feeling today? And maybe contrast that maybe how you're feeling in early March.
Yeah, no, I feel really good. Today I feel really good. And just like everybody else, I think there's days that are like you have the big ups, and there's days you have some question marks, right? We're all human. But no, I feel really good now. I have so much confidence, and I'm so proud of the team, and what we've been able to pull off. And the donation piece here locally has been amazing with the face shields as well. That kind of fuels me to know we're doing like amazing good things. Um, yeah, and kind of how Val mentioned, just be able to get into some new products, and we're selling just the shield only, so other people can put masks, face shields together. So we're doing a similar thing, but probably on a smaller scale. But no, I feel really good. I've got some good positive vibes going on. Even though we're off on the envelope side, we see some promising things moving forward, and the face shields have been something that keeps the drive alive, and the community here at Kenmore is continuing to get stronger, and there's a lot of passion going on. So I feel pretty good today.
And then, Scott, you are down on revenues from where you were in March. Have you been able to keep, and earlier you said, trying to keep people in their hours and their pay. Have you been able to keep the team intact through this?
Yeah, and if anything, we've gotten stronger. So like even last week, even though we're down on revenues, like our numbers are production output, throughput. So we're a big throughput driven company. That's what we focus on from the manufacturing side. Has been really solid. Our numbers have been good. All the new equipment we've invested in over the last 5-6 years has been kind of like the big part of our future. We're still hiring people. I know we've hired 2 or 3 this week. We're looking for more talent. So we're planning for the future, and the team here feels really, really good. I do a weekly call every Thursday. I give an update, so everybody can, interact with me, ask questions at the end, and we share that we have YouTube to all the production side of our business that works at night. So yeah, the community here at Kenmore and the drive we have is continuing to grow, and we put everything in place for everybody to feel healthy and safe, because we knew with them coming to work every day, for some people that's a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress to know they're coming in and chances they're getting sick. So we've done everything we can possible to keep everybody safe and healthy. And so far, no COVID cases here at Kenmore, and we're hoping I can announce that every week. So it's been good.
Great, thank you, Scott. Val, how about you? How are you doing? And maybe how maybe it'll feel different next week, or maybe feel different a week ago, but just kind of where are you today? How are you feeling?
Yeah, well, I think I feel, and I think our team feels, energized, and it's a dynamic time, and it's challenging, but that's mixed in with a lot of worry, and just worry about, are people getting sick, or figuring out what to do, or how to chart the course, or not knowing how best to position ourselves for a future that's really hard to have much confidence in any one particular scenario. So I think overall we're doing okay. I think there's growing confidence too, as every week goes by. I spent a lot of time a couple of days ago touring one of our plants that's nearby, and I was just so impressed by how their spirits seem to be pretty strong, and they're really doing a great job. So it's kind of day by day, ups and downs, but I think people feel good about being able to respond and do something.
That's great. And Val, similar to the question to Scott, have you been able to keep your team largely intact through this?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Does it vary by region, or is it?
Well, it varies greatly by region. Now, there are some production lines in some plants where uh, we've shut down for a week at a time, and people have been laid off for that week.
Yeah.
Of course, we regret that, but they've done pretty well, and they recognize that we're doing what we need to do to keep a very capital-intensive business healthy during
Yeah,
times like this.
interesting that you had the truck filtration production lines
Yeah.
switching over to gowns. I mean, it seems like the team understands that they need to be kind of like Scott described too, lean in, figure out how to productively use what you're capable of doing.
Yeah, I think that's happened, and people have really responded to the challenge.
That's great. Well, I'd be curious. I'll come back to you, Val, on this one too, and then to Scott. But none of us have a perfect view of the future. But I'm curious, just kind of where you sit today, and given what you know, just your personal opinion on, what do you think the recovery will be for kind of your industry in general, and then, if you have any other perspectives on the overall
Sure.
economy.
Well, of course, it's hard to be really confident about any predictions. Um, and I think in the short term, we're worried, I think, for our business, particularly because of the need for filtration and being involved in medical filtration. Of course, that helps us significantly. I've been encouraged to see, I've been on the phone every day this week with people in China and also in Europe. I'm encouraged to see, China's coming back. I mean, they still have a huge unemployment problem, but things are starting to ramp up. Car production is up. People are starting to move around a little bit. So that's encouraging. In Germany, in parts of Germany, kids are starting to go back to school. So hopefully that's in our future here. And I think in the midterm, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, and I just don't know. I worry about it. I worry about the short-term effect of so many smaller companies shutting down, so much unemployment. So I think that's a problem. But longer term, I feel really confident. I think prospects are good, and this event is going to accelerate a lot of change that otherwise would have happened more slowly and might on balance be positive.
That's great. Thanks, Val. Scott, what do you think?
I think our industry, the mail, will be a good indicator for kind of how the economy is going to recover. So, a lot of our clients, they get their biggest return on investment through the mail. So whether they're telecom or banks or new credit cards. So we're going to be on the front line of kind of how the economy is recovering. So it's going to be interesting to see that. But right now, we feel like August is kind of a big target for us. The third and fourth quarter in direct mail has always been, I guess, the strongest historically. And our for-profits are expressing to us that they're starting their campaigns back in June and July. So we'll see how things go, but we're really optimistic. And I think with us being off that 20 to 25%, at the max 30% in a week, it's not going to take too much positive energy moving forward and more mailers getting back in for us to get back to where our targets for this year and kind of get on pace. So we're still really optimistic that this year we can still, have a larger revenue than we had last year. So that's the goal. And so this is a pretty big bump, but I think the overall economy, it's going to take some more time. So we think we might bump back faster and come back a little quicker. But I think there's a lot of work to be done for the rest of the country for sure.
That's great. Well, Scott, Val, thank you very much for sharing your experiences and your wisdom. Looking forward to being able to share this to the Evergreen Journal community, and really appreciate you taking the time for this portion of the discussion this morning.